Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughan, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. All right. Hi there. I have as my guest today, Dr. Heather Awad. Now, Dr. Heather is a health practitioner and menopause weight loss expert who supports professional women at the menopausal transition and beyond to finally lose the weight and keep it off without using any of those crazy, unnecessary, unhealthy tactics. So welcome, Dr. Heather. I am so excited to have as my guest today.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about, obviously, the work that you do, as well as just to discover a little bit more about your journey as an entrepreneur, because it's always fascinating to me because every entrepreneur's journey is a little different, right? It's that
Sure.
serendipity, or maybe just a door that closes and another one opens, or various things. And what I've also found is that typically the business journey also includes lots of opportunities for personal growth, as I call it. Do you
Yes.
agree?
Oh, definitely. Yes. I feel like I've grown a lot over the past 4 years doing this work.
Yeah, definitely. Business development, personal development, they go pretty much hand in hand. And, the journey from passion to profits, well, it's not easy. But the thing that seems to be that common denominator is that each of us has that vision of making that meaningful difference for others. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey. So curiously, how long have you been a specialist within this area? And tell us a little bit about what prompted you to begin down this path.
Sure. I have been doing this work since 2021. And what got me here was partially my own issues with weight gain at perimenopause. Like a lot of women, I was trucking along, doing just fine, weight steady, eating pretty healthy, and then all of a sudden the number on the scale started to go up and up.
Mm,
And I tried the things that worked for me in the past when I had babies to lose weight, and they didn't work, and it just kept going. And I tried some diets because I thought, well, I'll try a diet, and they didn't work either, and some of them made me feel sick. And then I worked really hard on one of those apps on my phone
mm,
and really restricted, really lost the weight, and then bounced back even higher. And I thought, I'm a family doctor. I'm your food as medicine doctor. When you have high cholesterol, I say, tell me what you eat for lunch. And I thought, how can I not know what this is? So at that point, my period started to drop off, and I thought, oh, wait a second. This is menopause, and maybe this is related. So I kind of dove into the science of it and found some really good answers there. At the
yeah.
same time, I, the pandemic was going on and I was rounding in nursing homes. And
Mm,
when we got vaccinated, I thought, I like my job a whole lot, but is this my dream life? What is my dream
mm.
life? And so I joined a coaching program for other doctors and kind of explored that myself. Along the way, I found out that I was eating a lot of my feelings. And so that
Ah,
also helped me with the science of understanding the weight gain and the weight loss at this time. I put those together and it was really simple for me to lose 27 pounds and keep it off.
oh,
But also at that point, when I'm trying to figure out what is my what would my dream life be as far as work goes, I thought, a lot of people struggle with the same question, and maybe this is what I can bring to the world. And, I started to think, maybe I could have my own business. Do I dare to have my own business? Do I dare
Hmm.
leave traditional clinical work?
Right.
All those questions that entrepreneurs have,
Like,
right? When they,
oh.
yeah, yeah. And
The
then,
panic,
and
that's the leaving that steady income and
yeah,
a place that you've called, this is who I am, takes a lot of
right.
courage.
And I'll tell you that identity is pretty deep for a lot of us. It's very deep in the medical community. I had friends who reached out and said, "What the heck are you doing? What the heck is this
Yes.
weight loss thing? Why are you working online? Why aren't you rounding in the nursing home anymore?"
Right.
Um, and so I had to be able to be okay with that as well. So
Hmm.
it was very interesting in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's those, questioning friends and family, they're wanting to help and just, make sure, check in. And at
Hmm.
that pivotal phase or stage, it can feel like, well, maybe I am kind of thinking something here that I shouldn't be, or, who am I
Right.
to really just. So it does, even though they're supporting us and helping us to feel like, okay, convince me, Heather, why
Yeah.
are you doing this? And if we're not certain on the inside, it does take that extra courage. But it sounds like you ventured forth and pursued
Right.
this as a passion. Obviously, you had plenty of evidence over the years that a lot of women, like you said, are struggling with
Yeah.
this. So,
Yeah.
curiously, in 2020 hindsight, right, because that's our
Hmm.
best vision, what would you do differently if you were starting over, if you were just starting out? Now that you've been this far down the road, what would you have done differently from the very beginning?
I think I would try to keep things really simple, to keep my expenses lower in the beginning. I
Mm,
had some savings. It wasn't like I went into debt to start my business, but I spent money on things that I think, did you have to be in a program or in a coaching group all the time? Some of that, and even just software and looking a little bit closer at some of those things. Some things I did well and very nice and lean, like I started a podcast, and that was actually very low cost to do.
mhm.
But the platform I chose was kind of expensive, to run my both my course and my coaching through, and I joined some expensive programs that I don't know if I needed those.
Well, it's always a mystery to start a business when you've been working for somebody else or when clients have been um, kind of coming through more of a path that where you didn't have to do some of the
Right.
new skills. So yeah, it
Yeah.
is interesting, making those adjustments. But it sounds like for the most part, you had a fairly smooth path to launching. So,
Sure.
and I
And
know
some
that
of
your
it, though, I
special.
would say, some of it too, I would say, though, the parts that were rocky and I stumbled around, I don't know that I would have done anything different. You know, I I wasn't very
Yeah.
good at helping. I had a couple people that worked for me part-time. I wasn't a very good boss in the beginning, and they quit.
Mm,
I had to learn the leadership and all those things. So I just some of that stuff, I think some things you just start and it's messy and you do your best, and then you learn as you go.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And looking back on things like, oh, well, I wouldn't have done this then. I wouldn't have done that. Getting things out of sequence or out of order is typically one of the biggest confusions, is what to do when.
Yeah.
And eh, so let's pivot now. Let's take a look at those women that you serve. And
Mhm.
I know your specialty is working with those professional women
Yeah.
in that menopausal transition and beyond. So, curiously, what is a common false belief or misunderstanding that they have that keeps them stuck in this cycle of maybe losing a little bit of weight, maybe, gaining more back than they lost, and just feeling like things are just not going to change for them?
I would say there's a couple things. One of them is that people start to think, all these body changes are happening and possibly I'm broken and I'm just stuck with this. That's
Mhm.
a pretty kind of black and white mindset that
Right.
doesn't serve us, right? And part of that comes from them people like just like I did, you tried things that worked before and they don't work now at all. The other
Yeah.
thing is that we get some bad advice about, well, just reduce your calories. It's calories in, calories out, which it just isn't really true any time in life, but especially at the menopause transition and beyond. And and also people get this advice, eat small meals all day long, which works great for a 25-year-old and really does not work at the menopause transition and beyond.
Mhm.
So we get a lot of bad advice. And we have a body that completely changed. So,
Right.
that idea that I feel like I'm broken and nothing works for me is tough.
Hmm. Or the other things that I've heard too, and we obviously
Mhm.
don't know for certain, but some people feel then other things more serious are out of whack, like a thyroid condition or,
Mhm.
you know, things that are more chronic or serious.
Sure.
So,
And those things do come up at this age as well. People
absolutely.
do
Yeah.
lose thyroid function at this age. They do get pre-diabetes at this age. So things, medical things do come up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so what's going on for these women when it comes to their life, their profession, obviously their physical appearance, where they're prompted to just say, you know what, this is ridiculous. This can't be the way it is. Something's got to change. I need to fix
Yeah.
this. Like, is there uh, a common line drawn in the sand? Like, well, when this happens, then that, or is it really truly individual? And some people just feel like, um, they'd like to try some other option. They don't want to
Yeah.
give up.
I think for a lot of women, they sort of suddenly all of their pants do not fit. And that is really frustrating to go to your closet and say, I've got to go to work. And literally, none of my pants fit quite quickly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big, like, push in your face moment. And then
Mm-hmm.
also, I think one of the things that when they've talked to me or heard me speak, when I tell them, you don't need to count calories, I can make this really simple. I can make weight loss, help you save time with weight loss. It's not going to be complicated because everyone offers really complicated systems to them, and that's what diet culture offers as well. And I tell them, you don't need any of that.
And
And
that's
then
got to
they,
be a music to their ears, right?
yeah, like, oh, you
After
can make this work in
starvation
my
and
life?
painfulness, all these things
Yeah.
that are really
And
not
a lot of
sustainable.
rules, which, professional women, they might travel for work, or Monday is different than
Hmm.
Thursday, which is different
Right.
than Sunday. And trying to figure out how to plan one of these diets with a lot of rules into their life. And I tell them, we can plug and play all this really easily for you.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
after working with you, what does their life look like?
well, most of them will say about halfway through, I'm so relieved. I'm just so relieved. This is easier than anything I was doing before, and I'm losing weight. And they can start to see a path forward, which is
Mm.
what's important about what people do with me, so it will be permanent. They start to look at, okay, I can do this. I'd like to do this eating style for the next 10 years at least.
Mm. Mm.
And they're getting back into their pants again, which is such a relief.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of what it's funny. It's not something you sell, like you're gonna feel so relieved, but that's the thing I hear the most.
Sure.
That, oh, this is just
They
so
got
much
their
better.
right. They got their, body back. They
Mhm.
they're back in
Yeah, they've got the
control.
formula to deal with any situation. So
Hmm.
that really helps because they're like, well, I'm going to this conference and I'm presenting, or I'm sitting in the chair, or I'm selling
Hmm.
something there. They, always figure out, well, what formula are you going to do for eating there? Because there's some
A
minimum
plan.
nutrition things that people can do
Hmm.
that really help.
Yeah, yeah, having that proactive plan where they're again able to stay in charge or control
Yeah.
of the situation and still participate, right?
Right.
So curiously, what kind of mindset is required to lose that menopausal weight?
Sure. It's funny, the most important mindset is being kind to yourself. I call it compassionate perseverance. We actually, a lot of people come to me and say, I want to lose weight so that I feel better about myself again. And we do those in two separate tracks. I teach them the eating part, which they do, and we start immediately on the being kind to yourself track. You don't, I don't think you get, this is not science, but I don't think you get permanent weight loss if you beat yourself up all the way down. Because when you get to
Probably
the
not.
end, yeah, you don't want to listen to that voice anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're out, right? You're like, I hit goal, I'm out.
Yeah.
But
Again,
if
that
you,
sustainability component, right?
yeah,
It's not just a sustainable diet, but it's a sustainable mindset. It's a sustainable way that you're feeling about yourself.
definitely. So we work on that immediately. And so by the time people are not even at goal weight, they're already have their own back, are speaking kindly to themselves.
Mm.
And it just makes weight loss so much easier. Because if you have a rough day, sometimes things go wrong. You get stuck somewhere and all they have is fried food and dessert. And you're like, well, I'm just going to eat something. And afterwards you say, well, I had to eat. And
Right.
then the next day you just keep going. But if don't have that self-kindness mindset, you beat yourself up because you got stuck at a event that only
Mm-hmm.
had fried food and dessert.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
just not necessary. And I think it works against success, weight loss success.
Compassion and grace, they go a long way. So, yeah.
Um,
Well, would you indulge us here with maybe a story of one of your clients who you've supported through this very frustrating and challenging phase of the battle with weight loss?
sure. So I had a client who thought her body was broken, thought she couldn't lose weight. She was a competitive tennis player. She had just
Mm,
retired
mm,
and played competitive tennis 2 or 3 times a week. And she said, I exercise so much, but my sisters are overweight and I'm overweight, so I think I'm just doomed.
mm,
So she came to me and we met through a mutual acquaintance. And I taught her how to eat the formula of eating protein and vegetables or berries with every meal and not snacking in between meals.
mm,
And
mm,
she found it difficult for a few weeks and then got into a groove and found it really easy. She had a lot of stress eating, um, and people pleasing, like eating what other people want you to eat when
mm.
they want you to
Right.
eat it and how much.
Right.
And so we kind of worked through those things as well. And she found that she felt very free when she was able to get rid of that and was able to still be a polite guest when she went to someone's house and still not have them stuff her with food.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up losing, she actually lost 27 pounds, the same as me,
Wow.
which sticks in my head,
Oh my gosh.
over the course of a few months.
That's
And she
great.
found also that she had more free time because she wasn't going and eating all the time in the afternoon or going to get a
Mm,
snack. She found that she was able to be more creative with time with her grandchildren. She actually added another tennis morning
wow.
and just felt like there was more opportunity for her. And her
Mm,
relationship with some of these family members that were pushing food on her actually got better once
mm,
she was able to just be herself and have what she wanted.
mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it's just amazing that your example is of an athlete because we're typically thinking, oh, I'm stuck behind this computer all day and there's really nothing that I can do about it other than starve myself. And obviously what I'm hearing you say is that's the worst thing. It's about being selective and choosing the right foods. But here's an athlete that
Yeah,
also is struggling with the same thing. So yeah, it's obviously very important to know exactly what it is that the body is I wouldn't say needing, but that supports it, right? To
right.
find that harmony.
Right. Because when your estrogen drops, even if you take hormone therapy, um, everything, all the hormone systems are disrupted by estrogen dropping. So
Mm-hmm.
the digestive system also.
Yeah, yeah. And, the work that you're doing is so important. There's so many women out there that are just, like you said, beating themselves up, right? And feel
Yeah.
trapped in this whole state of despair. And you're obviously very passionate about doing this work, which I love to hear as well, because, what I've seen over and over during the almost 8 years now that I've been coaching
Hmm.
other coaches and wellness providers, that frequently the frustrations and challenges of building a business dampen out though that original passion and vision. The inconsistent results of spending more time trying to get clients versus doing the work that they love.
Yeah.
But just as with you, what I've discovered is that struggle is just really not necessary. With the right system, the right support, the right process,
Mhm.
then it truly does make building a business very easy. You can have that thriving, passion-driven business. So I'm curious, what is your secret to keeping that passion for the work that you do alive? And obviously, when you speak of the work that you do and the clients that you support, it's obvious that you're very passionate. So what's your secret to keeping that passion going?
I love working with my clients and I get to do that very regularly. And that helps keep my passion alive. I love
Mm-hmm.
speaking about this work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People will say, well, I don't want you to tell me all your secrets. And like, oh, I'll tell you all my secrets. Because it is, I love working with them, but it is also my kind of, even if I had a bigger goal, it's to change the conversation about how we eat in the United States, especially for midlife women. Um, and so I love talking about it. I'll talk about it all day. So I
Yeah.
enjoy speaking on people's podcasts or speaking to groups, and that really is inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can just see the ripple effects. I believe that helping people to achieve those new levels of happiness, with themselves as well as success, because when they feel better about themselves, they're more successful in their relationships and their profession. It just creates this huge ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
And it really does impact so many. It's really infinite, the ripple
Yeah.
effect. And one of my mentors early in my entrepreneurial career was Mark Victor Hansen, the
Oh,
co-author for the Chicken Soup for the Soul
oh,
series.
yeah, yeah.
And he and Bob Proctor
Hmm.
were held a mastermind that I was a part of. It's called the 3% Club. And that was
Oh,
a
cool.
just a phenomenal opportunity to be around such visionary, passionate um, entrepreneurs, right? And one of the things that
Yeah.
the Mark Victor Hansen taught me, as well as no doubt tens of thousands of others, is it's really important to have that big audacious goal, that vision. And he called it a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Right.
something that something that you feel you're just part of this bigger tapestry, right?
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
your work is part of the ripple effects. I mean, that's my words, but he
Yeah.
he calls a big hairy audacious goal, and that
Hmm. Yeah.
fuels the passion. And for me, that big audacious goal has kind of evolved as my career has evolved as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. But currently, because of working with experts like yourself, it's really my goal is to help raise consciousness. Because the way I
Mhm.
see it, you're giving people, women, a new lease on life, a new level of self-love, that just emanates
Mhm.
out. And just that awareness that it's not just the way it is and that's it, and stop whining, that there is an
Yeah.
awareness and awakening and to a new level of consciousness. So that's my vision, is to just see this overall raising of consciousness, because
Mhm.
I believe that the work that you, as well as other heart-centered experts, do truly does make the world a better place. It's that infinite ripple effect. So I'm going to put
Yes.
you on the
Oh,
spot,
sure.
Dr. Heather. Do you have a big vision, a big audacious goal for yourself or your business or anything like that you
We're
could share?
we're changing some things how we do business next year and changing the model a little bit. And the and so I have a 10x goal for my revenue for next year. And I think by simplifying things and cutting our expenses, I mean, it's changed how I look at my work too. Like every day, I think, okay, you don't have time to do some of this stuff. You got to just do what really moves you toward the goal.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. That's 10xing a business is huge. That is an exciting 2026 goal. So
Yeah.
so there have been no doubt a lot of our listeners that are leaning in and very curious about exactly how you do what you do. So
Mhm.
first off, do you have a special opportunity, a gift or something for our listeners that might give them a window into your process?
I do. The most common question I get, and I get this even from people who are not professional midlife women, is what should I eat for breakfast
Mm,
for weight loss? Because that
hmm.
seems kind of mysterious. So I do have a download that gives you the formula for that.
Oh, nice.
And that's at my website, vibrant-md.com.
Okay,
And um, and
fantastic.
I'll give you the exact formula for breakfast. And for some people, that's all they need to change, and then they lose weight.
Starts the day right. Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
listeners, check out the show notes. There will be that link in the show notes for you. And is there, anything that you would like to share as we're closing up our conversation here, just for those women who feel like that body that they once knew and loved is just a thing of the past?
Yeah. The menopause transition is a big time and a big body change. But it also comes with opportunities, and our brains get better after we get through the muddy middle of getting through it. And we can live in a great body, a strong body, after menopause. And so there's a lot to hope for and a lot to look forward to. I'm 57 years old. I like myself as much as I ever have.
Yeah.
Better than at 20,
Wow.
better than at 40.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
not looking to be a calendar model at any of these ages, so that's not my concern, but I'm very happy. I'm
mhm,
strong. I feel really healthy, and I'm very happy with my mindset in my world. So I think there's a lot of opportunity at the menopause transition to think about, what do I really want for
mhm,
myself, for my body, for my work, for my life
yeah.
right now.
And not only what do I want, but okay, let's put together a game plan to get there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, well, thank you so much. I love that. And that inspiration, that hope is really, what we all love to just own is that it is
Mhm.
possible for me. So yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Dr. Heather. I really appreciate your time and sharing your journey, as well as expanding our view for truly what is possible for us, women going through menopause. Well, some of us, meaning me, past that, through
Yeah.
that transition, but just knowing that it isn't that we're stuck with a certain new body, that it really is possible to regain that, kind of, I'm not going to put words out there, but shape, physique, and admiration for ourselves. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I'm so grateful for the work that you do.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been terrific.
All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well-paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So if you're a heart-centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So check out the show notes. All right, well, this is Wendy Vaughan signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.